Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I started this journey some 30 years ago when I first came back to the farm. While driving down the boundary fence with the Gladshire community, helping farmers, communal farmers with cattle that were sick, and taking out my medicine out of my medicine box and injecting their cattle for them to help them improve their herds. While doing this, I built up relationships with these people, and it was easy to communicate with them once they realized that I was there to be trusted and I could trust them. We could discuss things day or night, help each other in times of need. From helping them with their cattle and that, it progressed to fixing dams. When my bulldozer was working down the boundary, they came to me and they said, our dams are all full of silt or they've been broken for many years and our cattle don't have water. So once I'd finished my work, my bulldozer went across free of charge and we fixed all the dams and took out all the mud so that the next time it rained, there was water for these animals. In the second year, more dams were asked to be fixed, and obviously it became expensive then. So I had to ask them and say to them, listen guys, you need to contribute something towards the diesel. And without any hesitation, with smiles on their faces, they said how much they will put the diesel in. So my contribution was the machine and my driver. And we went and we then did all the dams and were able to wait for the rain, and then they were eventually filled. Once these dams went dry during the main drought, I had a bore close to the fence and we put a pipe under the fence and they put up a drinking trough, and I could see that my bore couldn't keep up with the amount of cattle that there were drinking there. So I went into the community and there were, I think, 5 boreholes that had been broken for many years. And I went back to my storeroom and found some old pumps and we commissioned all those boreholes. If I'm not mistaken, with the help of the community, we did all this work. We built drinking troughs, as you can see there, just out of tires and cement and with a pipe, and they went and they filled up the drinking troughs. At one stage, if I'm not mistaken, there were 1,000 head of cattle at one of the boreholes that we'd commissioned. My contribution was my time. Their contribution came in later when the pumps or the electric motors burnt out. I said to them, okay, you guys have got the cattle, collect money, and I will get the stuff supplied, but I will put it in for you. And without any hesitation, the money was collected, and new pumps and new boreholes, the boreholes were then commissioned again. We also own a hunting business, and from that, a lot of overseas clients come in to our lodge and stay there to hunt on our farm. And the SEI has a standard rule that when you come to Africa, you bring something with as a donation. So these hunters came out with either a learning material, sports equipment, anything that they could bring out, food. And I took them to a creche that was in our area, and we adopted that creche. A very good story. One of the clients that was there, I took him out and they sang for him and they did the whole thing, and he was so impressed. Him and his wife was their wedding anniversary, and they said, well, they're staying in a lovely lodge. It's not costing them, or they've paid for the hunt already. They would like to donate their $1,000 towards this creche. And at that time, there was no water at the creche. So we were able to put up 2 5,000-litre tanks and all the guttering with that $1,000 that they gave us. So the children then could have water at their creche. I also was able to donate a meal in the morning, whether it was like a porridge in the morning or like a soup, which I also got donated from one of the boozy cash and carries in town. While doing all this in the Farmers Association, I was on the Farmers Association, I was chairman there. We got 4 of our members that lived in the area or most of their lives. And we formed a committee with leaders of the Gladshire community. So quarterly, we'd have a meeting, so there were 8 of them and 4 of us, and we discuss problems, whether it be big or small, and we helped each other. And this helped in the long run to solve lots of problems, because we trusted each other and we built a relationship. And that's one of the main things, is when you build a relationship, there's trust is also there. During COVID, we were able to feed 250 people. The Farmers Association donated food. We went out to these communities, and through their leaders, they identified people that were in need. Obviously, being in a farming community, farming was an essential service, so a lot of the people were working, but there were a lot of people out there, pensioners and that didn't have an income. And we were able to go out there during COVID and with the leaders there saying these are the people that need it, and the actual people got the food. And that's what brings me to today's discussion. When we had the looting in KZN, I'm sure you all saw it on TV, we were very worried about our town. We don't have that many people. It's a big area. But we had a roster, and everybody stood at roadblocks, and we were waiting now for the people to come and loot the town like the rest of KZN, as you saw on TV. And during the night, I phoned with the community leaders, and I said to them, guys, you need to help us. You, the ears and the eyes on that side, can you see if anybody or any people are getting into groups and getting ready to come into town? And they said, no problem, they'll do that for us. And phoned me back, and they said, there's 5 or 6 guys here, but it's now fallen apart, and then there's another 10 guys there, but now they can't get enough guys to come into town. And I said to them, okay, just sit down at the river and wait for us, because it gives us about, I think, 5 kilometers from where the river is to where the town is. And at about 12 o'clock that night, they phoned back and they said, no, we're wasting our time here. You guys are looking after our town. Why can't we come and help you guys at the roadblock? So we said, by all means. And the next thing, there was just buckies of them together, whether it was any culture, white, black, colored, Indian, everybody was standing next to each other looking after their town, our town. And once we opened the town up, so nothing got looted in our town, and after the 3rd day, we needed to allow people to come into town and buy their supplies. So the taxi association also came around, and they said, okay, we will control who comes into the town. We want proof of residence. Only the people that come from this community are allowed to come into our town. We said, guys, no, you can't do that. They said, but they looted their places. Why must they come to finish our supplies in our town? And we said, no, you can't do that. You've got to allow everybody to come and shop. So the taxi association checked the taxis, made sure it was people from the area. It wasn't guys coming in to cause trouble, and it worked 100%. So from that, building those relationships over the years, it really helped us. And I know of another town, Pongola, was also like that, and they also didn't have any problems. But all the towns in between us, to this day, there's still shops that are burnt down, and there was nothing left over. I've been very fortunate in the last year. The Fisher Foundation has seen what I've been doing, and since they've come on board, we've taken children to teach them about conservation, booked them into a lodge out of the one school. They've drilled a bore at that same school where there was no water. They've now got running water. They've also, when they did the presentation, Mark Fish, the famous soccer player, came up to Hlui, and we used the rugby field, and a whole lot of the Amazulu First Division players came up, and we were able to take children and coaches from the area and coach them on the rugby field on how to play soccer the right way. In December, we were fortunate enough to have the Fisher Foundation again donated 7 tons of food for Christmas, and all the people that were in need. We got them also on a soccer field, and the same community members were able to tell us, these are the people that really need the food for Christmas. Please, can you give it to them? So all our children offloaded 7 tons of food. And we also had 2 Sharks rugby players, Pepsi Buthelezi and Mkunu. They came up as Sharks players, where Pepsi actually went to the school in our town, and he lived in the community. So when I introduced him two of the ladies jumped up and they were clapping because they were so happy because they knew his grandmother from that area. So thanks to the Fisher Foundation, I've been able to do a lot more than I was able to do before on my own. So lastly, I'd just like to say building relationships is very important with your SAPS, your community members. Belong to your structures. If there's a farm association, belong to it. If there's a security structure, belong to it. If there's anything, please belong to those things, and it will really help you in the long run. It's a team effort in our area. Every person has a role to play, no matter how big or small. Thank you and all the best. Let's make a difference in our town, our province, and in our country. Thank you.